At 10 o'clock this morning, Cara Darmody, a 14-year-old disability campaigner, began a 50-hour protest outside the Dáil, and Cara Darmody joins us in the gallery as well. A very warm welcome to you and to your father, Mark. Cara is an exceptional, an amazing young woman who stepped forward to fight not just for her brothers Neil and John, but for all of the children so badly failed by Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael governments. And at the heart of Cara's protest is one simple demand: that the government comply with the law and ensure that no child is left behind. Children with disabilities are legally entitled to an assessment of needs within 6 months, and yet 15,296 children are left well beyond this time frame, some for years, delaying their access to vital therapies and appropriate school places. And the HSE anticipates that this dire situation will get worse. By the end of 2025, there could be almost 25,000 on waiting lists for assessment of needs. And I've been contacted by so many parents over the last week, and they all have the same story. One mother got a letter on Friday to acknowledge her application for assessment of needs and was informed that the waiting list is in excess of 3 years. Another told me her son is on the list for an appointment which has been cancelled over and over again. Another, whose daughter got a letter saying that it will be between 24 and 33 months before she will be seen, and this child is already on the list for over a year. I work with parents every day in my own constituency. In the North Inner City, the waiting list would make your eyes water, and it's even worse in Cabra. And even then, when you get your assessment of needs, the fight continues, the fight for therapies, for a school place, for very basic services. Taoiseach, you have broken the law over and again. There is a legal requirement on you to provide an assessment of needs within 6 months, and you have broken that over and over again. Children are being failed dramatically, left in limbo, while they wait for the supports to which they are entitled. How is it that children are so badly failed? Why is it that people with disabilities are so badly failed? And there's no indication from your government that you are serious at all about complying with the law. So today, the combined opposition come together and demand that government comply with the law. Our motion tonight lays out the clear, concrete steps needed if you are serious about tackling assessment of needs waiting lists and complying with your legal and your moral obligations. Ahishi, tá an dlíbriste agat a ríis is a ríis eile. Tá tep suntasach á dhéanamh ar leanaí faoi muí cumas atá fágtha idir dá ceann na maith ag fannacht ar maisniú an riachtanas a bhfuil siad i Dáil. Inniu, tháinig an phréasúra go léir le chéile chun éirí ar an rialtas clí leis an dlí. So Taoiseach, can you tell parents clearly what is the target date by which you will comply with the law? Can you set out the emergency action you will take and the resources you will make available to Cara's fund to clear the current backlog? And what about workforce planning, Taoiseach? Because in some parts of the state, 60% of positions within the CDNTs are currently vacant.
Thanks, Lou McDonald. Taoiseach.
Well, first of all, could I say at the outset that I appreciate the work that Cara Darmody has been doing and her campaigning work with her father Mark, and she's been campaigning for quite some time, and she began initially in terms of advocacy for her family and now nationally in respect of disability rights more generally. And could I say at the outset that when I was appointed Taoiseach earlier in the year, I committed that this would be a government that would step change comprehensively across all areas of government provision for people with special needs or with disabilities, and particularly to focus on young people. Disability is represented at the Cabinet table by a full minister, and I've established, in the process of establishing the first ever disability unit within the Department of Taoiseach, to troubleshoot and to coordinate across all government departments the provision of services for people with disabilities. And if you go through all of the various areas, first of all, the need is increasing all of the time. The 2022 census is indicative of that in terms of the increase in the numbers of people identifying with a special need. And fundamentally in education there has been an exponential increase in investment, huge increase in resources in terms of special needs assistance at about 23,400 now. We have 20,800 special education teachers. And that's SNAs alone is about $1 billion a year, and that's the way it should be. Special class enrolment has doubled in 5 years, with nearly 19,000 students supported in 3,335 classes, and over 2,700 new placements are planned for 25-26. A new national therapy service in education, beginning in special schools, has been agreed by Cabinet, has been decided upon, and work is underway in terms of getting that in place, partially in this school year, in the next school year, 25-26, and fully thereafter. And in terms of more general, then in terms of the NCSE, again, 39 new posts were approved in terms of therapists for the National Council for Special Education, and that recruitment is well underway and has been quite successful and effective. In terms of income supports, the Minister for Social Protection is working in terms of specific budget provisions for children in particular and people more generally with disabilities. On transport, we have specifically asked the Minister for Transport to work on the mobility issues, the disabled tax scheme, working with the Department of Finance to put that back on a proper footing and a better footing than would have been the case beforehand. In relation to the assessment of need, quite fundamentally, we need to change the legislation. The High Court Act, or High Court decision, necessitates, in my view, a change in legislation to ensure that therapists are directed and streamlined to provide services to children more quickly than currently is the case. We have a finite number of therapists currently in the country. The real objective has to be to use those therapists optimally in providing services to children. And I say that very clearly because I'm looking for solutions here. And I think that is one nettle we have to grasp. And it will be challenging, but it's one that we have at the Cabinet. We set up a Cabinet subcommittee on disability, as you know, and it has asked the Minister for Children, the Department of Children, to come back with legislative proposals in respect of the assessment of need area. Recruit and retain therapists, very important. Mutual recognition of qualifications across Europe and with the United Kingdom to enable us to bring more therapists in from overseas, in addition to those that we will be producing through our colleges, and more therapists. So tá gach éon iarracht á dhéanamh an rialtais chun Dáil leis an aibh seo. Agus tá annach chudáisne ann, ach an rud is táchtaí bhfuil gá ann an chóras a athrú agus a athrú go topic.
So what the High Court found is that the state is breaking the law. Hear, hear. And what the High Court demanded is that the state be in compliance with the law. Hear, hear. That's what the ruling means. It does not mean change the law. So what your message to us today, Taoiseach, is that rather than working to be in compliance with the law, to ensure that children get the assessment of needs to which they are legally entitled within the statutory framework of 6 months, rather than working for compliance, your idea is to change the law and to remove that provision. I think there would be a common view, certainly across those that work within the disabilities and families, that actually the problem isn't the law. Actually, it's very good law. It's a very good idea that a rigorous and thorough assessment of needs is given to every child and person who needs it within a 6 month time frame. The issue here is government inaction. The issue here is government failure. So, Taoiseach, I want to put it to you again. Rather than suggesting that you simply change the law, comply with the law and tell us how you are going to make it possible that those 15,000 children who wait and wait and wait will get their assessment of needs and consequently the services and supports to which they are entitled.
Deputy, you have offered no solution. You have offered rhetoric, and that's all. No, the bottom line is this. We will do everything we simply can to deal with the existing waiting lists and so forth. And there's been a significant increase in terms of the numbers of assessments that have actually taken place, a 30% increase on 2023. But that in itself will not deal with the current situation. And so you have to have a multifaceted response. We need more therapists in third-level colleges. We will be providing more private funding to procure assessments. But all that will not, in my view, redirect the work of therapists most appropriately, which is to provide services to children. And I'll just make the point, I'm making the point, under the current system, the status quo is simply not tenable, Deputy. You must know that deep down. So there has to be a change in respect of that, and there also has to be, in my view, every single avenue that we can to increase the number of therapists, to recruit more therapists, because the money is there in many instances. HSE have not been able to recruit 100% to their CDNT teams.